I get a lot of requests from people on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and even Blogger asking me, how do you start a blog? Well, starting a blog is very, very simple. First, you go to the website such as Blogger or WordPress or even one of the good ones out there, blackbloggersconnect.com, and you put in your email and your personal information and a password, and there you have a blog. That's the first part. The second part is a little bit more challenging. You have to have content to put on a blog. And this is where a lot of people who want to start blogs really start to have a problem. You see, I've been writing since I was 9 years old, and I've always been a writer, and I've always written everything from stories to reports, and it's just something and movie reviews. And a lot of people, they knew me from back in 2000, starting about 2002 to 2007, when I was on Amazon.com. And when I was there, I used to write these movie reviews, and in a lot of cases, a lot of people liked them because sometimes I could be very funny. Because I would sometimes roast these really bad movies, I would cook and roast them. And then there were other movies that I really praised, and I really gave people an insight into what the film would be like, what the story would be like, and the acting and the ability ease of the performers and the cinematography. I would talk about all these subjects in my movie reviews, and people noticed me there and they followed me. When I started my blog in about 2006, 2007, I started the first Shawn James Black Freelance Writer blog, and the original URL was www.ShawnJamesStrugglingBlackWriter.blogspot.com. I thought it was too long, so I created another blog called ShawnSJames.blogspot.com. That's the current one that I use right now. And when I went to that site and I started my blog, because I always wanted to have an official website, I originally came there with the mission of promoting the first book I ever published, which was ISIS. This is the first book I ever published with virtualbookworm.com a long time back in 2002. And my goal was to promote the book and to get it out to a larger audience. And that was the first blog that I did, was the initial blog, um, introducing people to the ISIS book. And that was the first one I did. And from there, it was writing the sample chapter. I put up a couple of sample chapters, and the blog was just a place where I would put up my was going to promote my blogs, promote my art, like the art that I do on all the covers here, and I was going to promote my books. That was all. That was the original mission and intention of the blog that I wrote. But as I grew more popular with the movie reviews on Amazon.com, I decided to do some other types of writing. And one of the subjects that I wrote back when I had my old blog that people started to notice was a blog I did talking about the black bookstore and the black section of the bookstore. I called it African American Fiction, a cesspool at the bookstore. And at the time, when I went to the bookstore with my sister, we were going there, to pick up some books for her class, and I went to the African American section, and it was nothing more than erotica and street lit, and I felt like it was entering a Times Square porno theater or a Times Square sex shop. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to write about this subject. I knew something about publishing. I had been studying publishing since the 1990s, and I wanted people to understand how the African American book market had fallen so hard. And with that blog, it was one of the more popular blogs that I had written. And from there, I just started writing about issues in the African American community. And I was doing this until about 2007 when my first laptop died. And that became, those were my two subjects, was the African American community and the promoting my books and promoting my work. Those were the two things that I was doing. Those were my two core subjects at the time. That was my initial mission, because originally, again, the blog was meant to promote my books and promote my work. But I figured, if writing about issues in the African American community fit within my publishing mission of publishing positive stories of the African American experience, and I figured, I would write articles in that area that would help people gain a better understanding of the issues in the African American community. And this kind of segues into what you need to know about having a blog is not just having a blog, but you have to have two, the good content, and three, you have to really know what you're writing about. And this is where a lot of people, again, fall into a pitfall, is that they don't know what they're writing about. And when you have a blog, you really have to know your subject matter, and you have to really know it backwards and forwards. And when I'm writing on any subject, it's usually I have done a lot of research, because when I spend time on the World Wide Web, I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of researching, and I try to make sure that all the facts, back up the thesis points in the arguments I make in my blogs. And you have to really know what you're writing about. And I knew about the subjects matters I was writing about. One, I knew the fiction that I was writing about. Two, I knew about the issues in the African American community. And three, I also knew about the entertainment industry. So that also fit into it, because I figured if I'm going to write about the entertainment industry, I'm going to write about the African American part. And I'm also going to write about another form of writing, which I know about, which is screenwriting. So I knew the subject matter I was writing about. And that's something you also have to know about writing a blog, is you have to really know your subject matter. And again, all these issues, all these concepts fit within my theme of my publishing mission, which is positive stories about the African American experience, and the mission for my blog, which was promoting my books and promoting my work, and getting readers to take another look at my writing and take a look at my work. So it all fit within the umbrella of the platform I was trying to set up. And that's how you really have, again, you have to know what you're writing about. And I always make it a point to do the research on any subject that I'm writing about. Make sure that I have my points that I want to discuss when I'm writing about it. So I want readers to get the best understanding of a subject, because I know that a blog is, even though it's an opinion, there has to be facts to back up whatever arguments you put into a blog. Um, and I've seen a lot of blogs out there, and that's a big problem. A lot of times guys write about stuff, but they really don't have their facts backed up. But when I see with a lot of comic book blogs, these guys really do their research, they really have their facts down, and I could really recommend quite a few of them. If I just have to go get their links. I don't have them right in front of me, but I just read one about Josie and the Pussycats. This guy, he did an amazing job with his research and everything. He had every fact down. I already knew about, Archie Comics and Josie and all that, but the way he put it together was so meticulous that you could use that as actual research if you wanted to do a subject on it. And that's paramount to having a blog, is that people are coming there for information, and your information has to be very on point, has to be very accurate, and you have to really know your subject matter backwards and forwards. The fourth part about, getting a blog is you have to make it very easy to read. I've read a lot of different blogs before I started mine. I read a lot of official sites before I started mine. And one of the things I wanted to make sure that my blog was easy to read. So I created a format and a style for my blog. I really wanted um, the paragraphs to be broken down and easier to read. I wanted the subject matter to be easier to follow, and I wanted to make it where anybody of any age, almost any age, could read the subject matter and come to a greater understanding of a subject that I was making a point on. And that's something that you really have to do when you're doing a blog, is you really want it to be easy to read. And I've seen some blogs, they've had these long block paragraphs, and that that becomes very hard to read, and it becomes very frustrating to read. So I always try to break mine up with the information in short burst paragraphs, so that the reader can really get the information. Because again, when people come to a blog, they're not just coming for an opinion; they're coming for information. They're coming because they're going to learn something from the subject matter you're presenting. And one of the things I always try to do with every blog that I write is make sure that the paragraphs are very easy to read. I mean, sometimes I'll just do a 3 sentence paragraph or a 4 sentence paragraph, because I know that there's a difference between when people read a book and when people read a blog, and people want to get their information very quickly. So I put it in small bite-sized chunks so that the reader can get the best reading experience possible and get the information as quickly as possible because I understand that people on the web don't take the time really to sit down and read things slowly. They go through it quickly because they're going through multiple web pages. And if you're sitting in a place like a library and you have, or other place with a time limit, you really don't have time to sit there and read a long, turgid paragraph. You really need to get this information and go. And that's one of the reasons why I do the blogs with short burst paragraphs because I want the information to be very easy to read. And I want everybody to just, pick up on it as soon as possible. Now, the fifth thing you're going to need when you're doing a blog is, time to commit to this because this is one of the biggest areas that people who have blogs, who want to start blogs, have an issue with. When you're, in addition to the content issues and the subject matter issues, the putting this blog and committing to it, is the biggest challenge because a lot of people, they want to start a blog, but they don't understand that this blog is just like a business, and it needs to be maintained, it needs to be updated, and if you don't do that, your foot traffic is going to fall off very badly, and you really have to keep your blog updated regularly, at least once a week. But if you really want to build readers and build a following, I recommend 3 times a week. This is what I read in an article, and it's really helped me to build my blog's audience. And you really have to do it on a regular, consistent basis. My schedule, most weeks, is usually Monday, Thursday, and maybe Saturday. That's when I update and put new content up. And sometimes my original schedule was, it was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But since I lost my job and I lost internet access, I've been having to go to the library. So the schedule has been a bit erratic. And then in addition, there has been this new novel, Spinsterella, that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks, about a month or so. So the schedule got a little upheaved, but I'm trying to get the schedule back on track. So I always make it a point to make sure that at least there's a guarantee that there's going to be a blog on at least Monday or Thursday, because people are always looking for the Shawn James blog on either Monday or Thursday. But I always try to make it consistent, where there's always a new blog, at least once or twice a week, or at the best. I want to keep it regular on the 3 times a week, and that can be a bit of a challenge because you're trying to write on subjects for 3 times a week, and that can be if you really don't know your subject matter, trying to commit to that type of schedule can be a bit of a challenge. You have to really know your subject matter and what type of content you want to write on in order to produce that type of content on a regular basis. Now, I know certain areas very well. Like, I know African American issues in the community. I know African American history because I have to study that in order to write novels and screenplays. I know about screenwriting and screenplays. I know about the entertainment industry. I know about African American fantasy fiction. I know about storytelling. I can write on men's issues because I am a black man, so I can write on men's issues and MRA stuff and MGTOW stuff. So I can write on those areas because I have knowledge in those areas, and I can find research to force the positions that I want to present regarding those areas. And that, again, is paramount to a blog, is the consistency. And one of the problems that a lot of people have is keeping that blog, stocked with well written subject matter on a regular basis, because readers, once they start reading a blog, they want to continue to see that regular content. And if they don't see, content after about a week or so, they're going to start thinking that you abandoned the blog, because there have been several blogs where the blogger just stopped writing and they walked away from the site, and people were counting on that subject matter. They were expecting, a regular new article every week or a new blog every week, and this person walks away, so the people walk away from the site, and your readership starts to fall off. And that's something that you really have to watch as a blogger, is if you're really serious about writing a blog on a regular basis, that content has to be kept fresh almost every week, 3 times a week, or once a week, because some blogs like Writer Beware, they only update once a week, but that's the schedule they set. But regularly, a blog usually updates three times a week, so that readers can always have that fresh content, and that they know that the writer is still out there and still producing subject matter. Now, I always try to make sure that there's fresh content. Again, on a regular and consistent basis. Usually Monday and Thursday is a guarantee that there's going to be a blog up there. Sometimes that middle of the week one, I'll try to get it in. Again, I've been out of work for some time, so I have to use the library to post up most of my blogs. And I've got other content that I'm trying to post up now. Right now, I'm doing videos like this one, so that I can teach people how to do blogs and how it works. Because again, this is just like a job, and you have to make sure your content is fresh all the time. Um, and that's something a lot of people they go into this thinking that writing is going to be easy, and it's a challenge because again, it's just like a job. You have to make sure that you're you have a plan for what you want to write about, a plan for how you're going to write it, a plan for when you're going to put it up, and you have to let people know where your blog is and where it is. That's another thing that I have to do. That's like the sixth or seventh part of having a blog is promoting the blog. Just posting blogs isn't going to get you a following. You really have to have that Facebook page, that Twitter page, and you even have to have other blogs in other areas like Tumblr, or like I have a simulcast blog on blackbloggersconnect.com. I really have to update that one. But you really have to have more than one place for your content so that readers can see it on a regular basis. And you have to have social media where you promote your blogs on a regular basis. And if people don't know about your blog, they won't know where to find it, and they won't know where to find your content. And you're not going to be able to build a following. So you really have to let people know when that new blog is up, and that requires you to have that Twitter account, that Facebook account, Instagram if possible, anything to get people to know, hey, I've got a new blog up. This is the content that I have on here, and other things like the network blogs. I have a connection with that, so you really want to have people let people know where your site is, and that they will also find you if you have good content. One of the things that I do is that my content, I I've been told is pretty strong. So people come and they find it, they Google search it. Some people even link to me. Like I've had a lot of links from comicbookresources.com. I've had links from a lot of MRA and MGTOW sites. I've even had links from Republican sites and other sites. I even had links from other family sites, other types of sites. People, when they see my information that I present on the blog, they share it with others. And if you have really strong, solid content, people will share it with others, and they will bring it to other people. And I've even had other bloggers like Journal de la Reina share my content, and blackonballtumblr.com, and I've had other fantasy sites share my content on a regular basis. And if you have very good content, you're going to get readers, because if you write in an easy to read format and really have strong knowledge of your subject, people are going to want to read your blog on a regular basis, and they're going to want to follow your blog on a regular basis because they know they're going to get fresh content all the time. And that's something that is important in having bloggers. There's a lot of commitment to it. And this is one of the big problems that a lot of people who write me letters talking about they want to start a blog or they want to write a book. They don't understand that this is the most paramount thing with writing, is that you're going to have to commit time to it. And if you want to be a writer, the only way to become a solid writer is to write every day. And this is something I do every day, and I've been doing since I was about 16, 17 years old when I returned to writing, because I started at 9 years old, and then I left around 13 to about 16 years old, and then I returned at 16, and ever since then I've been putting in at least 1,100 to 1,500 words a day, and when I'm doing a novel, it's between 2,000 to 4,000 words a day. This is how many words I write in a day. And on top of it, now when I'm doing the publishing, I have a schedule of books that I have to edit, and this is in addition to writing those 3 blogs a week, which is 1,500 words a day. I often take time to edit books while I'm writing blogs, so you always have to be writing on a regular basis. You have to pretty much write every day if you're going to have a blog. And you're going to be doing at least 1,500 to 2,000 words a day, because an average blog for me is about 1,100 to 1,300 words a day. So it's a big challenge, and you have to understand that you're going to have to commit to this, because the only way to build that readership, again, is by producing fresh content on a regular basis. Now, I have gotten so strong in producing content that I've been able to take blogs that I've written and actually turn them into ebooks and actual paper, and sometimes in some cases maybe even paperbacks. There were a couple of blogs I did called on the comic book industry that I turned into an ebook called An Analysis of the Comic Book Industry's Business Issues. And what I did was I took the blogs, I wrapped them around some fresh content, and I turned that into an ebook, because I said, I'm writing so much about the subject matter, why don't I make some money on it? Now, I showed some understanding and knowledge of the issues, so I decided to turn that into a book. And then another series of books I did that were based on blogs was the Simp Trilogy, which was Stop Simpin', The Manginas, and The Misadventures of Captain Saberho. Now, I did all three of those based on blogs that I did on men's issues. And I said, okay, I'm writing a lot of blogs here. They're getting a lot of hits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this information into an ebook. And I'm going to use this ebook, as a way to sell to readers and to further build my audience. So I took, with all the original Stop Simpin' was based on, old blogs. It was just a bunch of blogs put together, again, like the analysis of the comic book industry's business issues. And it was put together, wrapped around a new introduction and a new ending. And that's basically what it was. But then later on, as I became more skilled in writing, I decided, okay, what I'm going to do with these books is I'm going to make them fresh. Now, I would use the blogs to introduce a subject, but then I would write a brand new, fresh book. And I did that about 3 times. Not just with the Simp Trilogy in the comic book industry, but with the books I did, like on the book, there was a blog I did, a very, very popular blog called Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. And I did a series of blogs dealing with the issue of black women being single. And I decided, you know what, I'm tired of going back and forth with people in the comments section. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write a book on the issue. And I wrote that ebook, and again, it turned out to be a very popular book. And that was all based on a subject that I wrote in a blog, and I saw all these readers giving it hits. So I said, okay, I'm going to write a book about it. And this is what you can do when you're writing blogs. You can really get creative and take that subject matter that you know about and take it from the blogs that build readers and turn it into ebooks or even paperback books and further expand your audience. And that's what I've been doing for the last 6-7 years, with writing, is taking the blog from just a basic website to turning it into a something really a lot larger, where it's gotten an audience over 1 million hits over the last 6 or 7 years, and it still continues to get that more hits a day. And on average, I went from getting about 300 hits a day or 200 hits, sometimes something like that, to getting 1,000 hits a day on average, to some days getting 4,000 or 5,000 hits a day. And that's all based on having, good, solid content. Now, what I find is that if your content is very, very strong, people will go back to it 4, 5, 6, 7 years later, and they'll go back and look at these articles in this blog over and over again. I've had people, come back to blogs that were 2 and 3 years old, and they were making comments about them just like as if they were brand new. I mean, this was an article I wrote in 2011, 2012, 4 or 5 year old article, and they were acting like the information was just as fresh as it was today. And it shows, that shows how the quality of the content that I produce, that people would come back to an article that is 4 or 5 years old and still, respond to it as if it were a brand new piece. And a lot of people don't know that some of the blogs I've written, if you don't look at the date, it says 2012, 2011, 2010. Some of them even go back as far as 2007. And people still respond to those blogs. They still link to those blogs. They still share those old blogs with readers. And again, believe that's a testament, to the quality of the content that I produce. And that's the quality type of content you can produce if you really know your subject matter and you know how you want to promote your subject matter, and you know and if you really want to passionate about what you're writing about. And really, I really care about what I'm writing about. These areas of subject matter mean a lot to me, and that's a big part of having a blog. Because in order to stay committed to writing that blog on a regular basis, you really have to believe in what you're writing, and you have to believe in it enough to make time for it. Because again, writing is a very time-consuming thing, and when you're writing, it's something that you have to do on a regular basis. If you don't stay at it, you won't get any better at it. And this is something a lot of writers don't get. A lot of people who say that they want to start blogs, what happens is they start out passionate about it. Then, when they have a hard time with a subject, they wind up walking away from the blog, or they wind up with other things in their life going on. They wind up walking away from the blog. And I tried my best, even when I had jobs, to try to maintain a blog. And I've been out of work, and this is one of the other reasons, like probably why I'm able to write them regularly. Even if I had a job, I would try to keep the content fresh, because the subjects that I write, I'm very passionate about. I very care about them a lot, and they mean a lot to me. Things like the comic book industry mean a lot to me. Things like my books mean a lot to me, and subjects in the African American community. These things mean a lot to me, so I can write about them on a regular basis. And even if I had a job, I would make the time to pretty much write about these subjects, because I really believe in the viewpoints that I'm presenting. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand about blogging. You have to really, again, you have to stay at it consistently and on a regular basis. And you have to be committed, you have to be passionate, you have to really know your subject matter, and you really have to understand what you're writing about, and you have to do it in an easy to read format if you hope to get readers. Now, the last part that you really have to understand is the comment section, because what's going to happen when you write a blog is that the information you're presenting is all over the World Wide Web, and anyone can read it who wants to type in a Google search or a whatever search engine is out there, Yahoo, Ask Jeeves. I've had all of them. People writing in the Shawn James blog, Shawn James freelance writer. Shawn James is why 70% of black women are single. Shawn James, why real men avoid single mothers. This is what they type in the search bar. It comes up on my blog statistics. That's a big component. I always monitor my statistics so I can know what type of content to write. And this is something that you're going to have to deal with is commenters. A lot of times you're going to get some good comments. Some people, they can agree to disagree. They're going to be able to present their point or their counterpoint to you, or they're going to say, great article, I like this, or, I really like what you did with this subject matter. I've had people tell me that great blog that you wrote there, I love the way you wrote that subject. But then you're going to get some people who do not have any social skills, and they do not understand how to agree to disagree with an article. They do not know how to click that red X in the left hand corner in your Mac or the right hand corner in your Windows. And if they don't understand this, and they will go into ad hominem attacks, shaming tactics, they will try to get personal, they will try to attack you, and you as a blogger have to moderate and protect your website. This is something I learned from comic collecting boards such as Superhero Hype and toy collecting boards such as the Foosh, that you want your readers to have a pleasant reading experience. They don't need to deal with trolls, because what happens is when you have a dysfunctional individual such as a troll on your site, what that does is it slows down your foot traffic, because people do not want to engage in arguments with dysfunctional people. So one of the things you really have to do is police your site, and that may mean deleting, personal attacks and shaming tactics. And I try to be very, very, conservative about it. And if you go into personal attacks, I'm just going to delete your comment. If you go into ad hominem attacks, what I'm going to do is delete your comment. And if you're just using, name calling and stuff, like, I'm going to delete your comment. But if you're going to bring a valid point, you know, I have no problem with you putting a comment on the blog. If you're gonna add something to the subject, like a couple of guys like Admino, he always brings great comments on my comics blogs, and a couple of other guys they bring great comments on the comics blogs. Well, then some guys bring comments to to the men's blogs, and I'd have no problem with intelligent guys like Mark Williams. He brings good content, comments on the blog, very intelligent stuff. But then there are people who want to get personal. They want to get into ad hominem attacks. They want to start an argument. And I say for everybody out there, whenever you see somebody trying to start an argument, the only thing you can do is delete the comments and do everything you can to police the board. I really wish Google and WordPress and all these other sites would give me a block and a ban feature, because we really do need a block and a ban feature, because sometimes you get people on your blog who just really want to just keep arguments going, keep fighting with other people on your blog. The whole point of having a blog is having a place to express your opinion, and it's not an article. And this is what some people don't understand. Now, I've had people, guys, I've even had doctorate level guys use my blog for their thesis. So again, that's a testament to the quality of the content. But you have to have facts to back up your information, and you have to have um, sources to back up your information. I always have those when I'm doing blogs, and again, that's why people like doctorate level people do use my blog for their research, and I've had other people use my blog in their research, because the content is very strong. And the whole thing about having good content is that. But you have to understand that a blog, again, is an opinion. They're the opinions of that person. They are the views of that person. And you have a right to disagree with them, but you don't have a right to get personal with them. That is their view of things. That is their point. That is the information they want to convey. If you don't like their information, again, if you have a Mac, red X is on the left-hand side. If you have a Windows, the red X is on the right-hand side. Hit the red X and leave. This is something I learned way back in the 2000s, when the internet was pretty much in its infant stages. Um, if I saw content I didn't like, if I saw a website I didn't like, I clicked out of it. I've been to websites all over the world, and atheist websites, goth websites, all sorts. And if I didn't like the content, I just didn't go back to that page. But there are some people, they just want to continue arguing, they want to continue going back and forth. And what they want to do is they want to, try to police your page. And, they come in with a sense of self entitlement issues. And they believe that it's their right to tell you what type of content to put on your page. Well, that's not the case, because, again, Google gives everybody a blog. If you have an email address, you can go out and get yourself a blog. If you have those type of skills, you just have an email address, you can get yourself a blog. And if you don't like what's on somebody's page, you can go out and go make your own page. But these cowards, they really don't have the skills to make their own page. So they go to your page, and they continue to go to your page trying to attack you. I've had people, one person trying to flood my comment section when I would post up a new book or certain blogs and certain issues. They would try to flood the comment section. I've had other people, one guy literally try to stalk me by going, when I shut down my comment section, coming to my Facebook page looking to start trouble. And we got too bad to the point where the stalker one time was, I had to close the comment section of my blog for about a week or two just to get rid of them. And this is what happens when you have dysfunctional people. But you have to keep going and stay committed to your blog, because your subject matter and information you're presenting is very important to people. And if you really believe in your subject matter, you will overcome any challenge put in front of you. And you have to really stand up for what you believe in. Now, I really stand up for my positions, and I stand up for what I believe in. And this is one of the reasons why I'm very passionate about the blogs that I produce, is because I really believe in every part of the content that I produce, and I believe in those views. Though they're part of my core values, what I'm putting on the page is something that comes out of me. It's something that I believe in, and it's something that, means a lot to me. So when I come out here and make these blogs, it means a lot to me. And that's something, when you write a blog, it has to mean something to you. Like, when I see a lot of different blogs out there, like the writer blogs, those writers, it means a lot to them to write on those subjects. When I see blogs on cooking it means a lot to them. There was a blog I was reading and doing research for Smithsterella called Sophistique Noir. Now, this woman, Victorian Kitty, she had a great blog where she was doing goth fashion and it meant a lot to her, and she did a very wonderful job in putting that blog together. Um, and it means a lot to her to do that, and she would go the extra mile with the great photographs, great article writing, and that is what makes a great blog, and that's what I know makes a great blog. There are a lot of great blogs out there, and if you want to start one, you really, again, one, have to know your subject matter. Two, have to be very passionate about what you're doing, about your subject matter. Three, you have to be willing to commit to the time to write these blogs, and even take the pictures like I've been doing lately. Four, you have to really, you know, police your page and make sure that your content, that people aren't trolling your page. And four, you got to really promote your blog in the hopes of getting a larger audience of readers. This is a lot of work. Again, it's just like a job, 9 to 5 job, and you really have to really put in the work if you want to build the readership. And I have been, putting in the work for the last since 2008, really hard on it. I mean, I started in 2006, 2007, but since 2008, I've really been pushing. And since then, I've gotten over 1 million hits, and I continue to build my audience, day in and day out, trying to produce that fresh content, trying to keep it out on a regular basis, and trying to do this in the hopes of not only getting people to read the blog and get great information that will help them get their lives better, but also in the hopes of, selling and promoting my books. And, you know, that's something that one of the main reasons why I started a blog was so people could see how great my writing is. So they could come out and say, look, that was a great blog. Now I want to go buy the books. And I really have been trying to get, more people to read the books and and from the blog and show them, I'm a really solid writer. I know my subject matter. I know what I'm doing, and that I have a really solid skill set in writing. And I'm hoping that people get that, and I'm hoping that they feel confident enough in my writing ability to actually go out and start buying the books on a regular basis. Now, that's also part of blogging. Is that's also part of selling your products and stuff, and selling it and building your platform. And that's one of the reasons why I did the blog in the first place, was to build that platform, so to have a place to sell the books and people to understand, you know, that you're dealing with an intelligent guy who really knows his subject matter and knows his content. That's all I have to say for this video. I have a lot of great books on Amazon.com, and there are books like The Temptation of John Hughes here, which are in paperback, but they're also available on Kindle Unlimited on Amazon Prime. So all you have to do, if you have Amazon Prime, you can borrow this book for free. You can also borrow All About Marilyn here. This is another great book. It's available on Kindle Unlimited, and if you have Amazon Prime, you can borrow it for free. And there are several ISIS series books. They're on the other side of the room. You can borrow those for free. Books like ISIS All About the Goddess, ISIS Wrath of the Cyber Goddess, ISIS Power of the Princess. They're all available on Amazon Prime for free, along with the new ISIS Night of the Vampires and East Team Undercover coming out Memorial Day weekend. Those will be on Kindle Unlimited, and you'll be able to borrow those for free. And again, that's all I have to say for this video. If you want to start a blog, all you have to do is just head over to Blogger, WordPress, or one of these other blog sites, type in your email, fill out the information, and just get started writing. If you really believe in what you want to write, the blog is just gonna build its own audience easily.